guys? Welcome back to the Walleye Files. We are going to Pierre, South Dakota. Our buddy Mason Propst today. We're going to do a little preview show, the National Walleye Tour on Lake Sharpe. Mason, how you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
Hey, Mason, before we get going, why don't you promote anything you got going on, your social media, your business, anything you got?
Absolutely. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Mason Propst Fishing. You can also find my guide service at Propst Professional Anglers. That's on Instagram and Facebook as well. You can also find us on the internet if you're old school and want to use a web page. We do have a web page. It's www.propstprofessionalanglers.com.
And is that how
Awesome.
they get a hold of you to book and schedule anything like that?
Yeah. Going on the website, and we've got a feature where you can send us an email, and that's probably the best way to get kind of in order. We get a lot of texts and stuff from our friends that love to come back every single year. So it's always good to have that file on the internet and get in your Outlook and look at that.
Awesome.
All right, so Mason, National Walleye Tour is coming to Lake Sharpe. If I remember correctly, I think you just took fifth on a Tuesday nighter, didn't you?
Yeah. Nick and I got fifth on the first Tuesday night of the year. Pretty excited about that. Small little friend deal that we do here, about 20 boats. It's absolute awesome time. We run for about 12 weeks. And yeah, it's great to start off the year with a fifth, that's for sure.
And how was the bite?
For us, it was killer. It was absolutely killer. We take off at 6. We made a run downriver, probably about 30-minute run. We got 2.5 passes in down there. We were trolling cranks, and I think the number was we were at 17 when we left that spot to head closer to town. So the bite was very good, that's for sure.
Awesome.
That's exciting, knowing the tour is showing up. A lot of guys are starting to show up today, tomorrow, definitely, tomorrow into Saturday. Today, guys, we're filming Thursday. I'm not sure what day we're going to try to get this out. Hopefully, sometime this weekend. And let's talk a little bit about weather here. We're gonna call this the Striker Brands portion of the show here, because we're looking at some weather. You're talking mid 60s for the most part through the weekend. A little sunny Monday, 74 degrees, southeast wind the next couple days, 10 to 20. Tuesday, cloudy, wind west northwest wind, 20 to 30. Wednesday, sun and clouds, northeast, 10 to 20. And then Thursday and Friday for the tournament, we got cloudy with rain, 15 to 25 out of the east and east northeast on Friday. So we've got some changing conditions, changing weather, changing winds, which I'm not sure. Mason, can you give everybody a little bit of insight what the wind can do to your fishery?
Yeah, the wind the wind can drive it, that's for sure. We like to see a little bit of wind. Now I'm not sure that they want to see that 30-mile-an-hour wind, especially if they're going to be making some long runs, which I have a good feeling that a good portion of the field is going to make some really long runs, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure that they want to see that. The first few miles, it really won't affect it, I don't think. I guess I haven't really looked at the weather. I know Brandon just gave us it, but the first few miles, they'll have a nice ride until it starts to open up, and then it's gonna get western for them, that's for sure. If it's truly blowing 30, I've made that run a few times, and it can get scary. You can get that wind rolling, and Nick and I ran down there. This was probably about 3 years ago, and it was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. We were coming back, and that wind was blowing so hard, and it was blowing all the water off the sandbars, and you could just see them running back, and you're like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. But
Wow.
yeah, the wind will definitely play a factor, that's for sure. Running your boat may be a little difficult, especially if you're trying to scope them. You're dealing with current as well, so current, wind, scope, it might be a little difficult for some guys, that's for sure.
How do you see the next week forecast, how do you see that changing the bite, or do you see it staying steady?
I think the bite will probably stay pretty steady. Sharp Sharp is known as, I would say, in eatery fishery. We have tons of fish in that 15 to 17-inch range, and that's because we're a gizzard shad fishery. That's where our forage is. It's known for growing small fish up to that 15 to 17 inches real quick, but it then doesn't get you those giants like you see up top on a wahi.
Do you guys ever get any lake herring that spill through?
Yeah, so when they're running water, you will get the Cisco lake herring to come through. Doesn't really help down here just because those things are ginormous, and that's what's growing. Are when you see those in the fall, when you see those 13s, 14s, 15s, and a state record gets broke twice 2 years ago. That's what makes Oahe special. You get the rainbow smelt coming through. That does help on sharp, but like I said, you know this thing is predominantly driven by gizzard shad, and that's what gets you this awesome eatery fishery, guide fishery. I mean, there's nothing better than going down on sharp midsummer and putting 45, 50 fish in the boat in no time. I mean, that's what makes sharp truly special. Um, it's going to make for a very interesting tournament because of that as well. Because now you need to find the big one, and they're few and far between, but they are out there. They are out there, and someone's going to get them. Going to get one, maybe two. Um, but yeah, yeah.
So when you're talking overs, is like a lot of fisheries, like say we were out on Erie, right? Like a 6 pounder is just your run of the mill fish out there. Out on Sharp, what's going to be the good over that you're really trying? Obviously, a 30 or whatever, but like what's a good over out there for some of the guys?
Honestly, I think guys will have a tough time putting back a 20-incher. If you're fishing for points, I don't think that you can put one back. There's just not a guarantee that you're going to get even two overs. Getting three would be crazy. I mean, it happens. We have days where it happens. I would say, most of the overs you'll see, and I don't know how many there will be, but I think most of them you'll see will be that 20 to 22-inch range. And then the the guy who wins it is probably going to have one of those big ones, an 8-9 pounder. I mean, there's a chance of seeing a 10. I don't know if you'll see it, but uh, an 8 would do you wonders here.
Sure. So, looking into this tournament, um, I'm kind of a stat nerd when it comes to tournaments. Jake knows that a little bit. I do a lot of research going to a lot of these events. I'm not John Bala. I wish I was as organized as John Bala. But I sit down and I make a list of all the usually major events over the last probably 20-ish years, and actually dating back to 2002 is what I'm looking at right now. First place, 10th place, 20th place, and we're looking at about 11.9 pounds for that first place average but a lot of these tournaments are 3-day tournaments. Mason, what do you think it's going to take to win this tournament? What do you think it's going to take 10th place in this tournament and then 20th place, just as far as an average per day?
Yeah, no, I think, looking at the history, you're still gonna be close there. Like you said, those are mainly 3 days. This is gonna be a two. I could see 23 to 25 winning it. If someone figures out a good over program, maybe a little bit higher, maybe you get 26. I don't think we're gonna see some giant weights though. That's for sure. 10th place, if you get a 2 pound average in this thing, you're gonna be sitting really pretty. Especially this time of year. We've got fish all over the board right now. Some are spawning, some are holding, some will hold for 2 weeks, some will be dumping next week. It's definitely gonna be interesting, but I think that 2 pound average will probably get you in the top 10 for sure. And honestly, to cut a check, that 20ish range, you're gonna be looking 8 and a quarter, I would say, a day.
Yeah. I almost think it's going to be just a game of ounces. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of guys that are bunched up around that like 8 to 10 pounds, I would assume, right?
Yeah, the most common thing I think you're gonna see is you're gonna see that 6.5 to 7.5 range. I mean, there is just a load of those 15 to 16, 17 inchers. And unfortunately we don't have the amounts of gizzard shad that we've had in the past. They're trying to get those shad up on Oahe. So midsummer last year they started taking them out. And taking them up there, and we are seeing that effect. We're seeing some skinnier fish. um we're still seeing the 15, 16, 17s. You get your 18s sometimes, but they don't weigh as much as they have in the past. And that's from us not seeing the bait like we usually do. They went all fall, summer without that, because they're taking that out right when the spawn for those gizzard shad happen. When you're seeing that high 50s and the 60s. So that's also going to play a key into this. If I think if you get downriver or even up closer to the dam, you might find some fatter fish than you might find in that midsection. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was gonna be my follow up because like a lot of times on the Missouri River system or a lot of these rivers, sometimes making a long run south or north or whatever it is, your fish might be half a pound heavier than they are up north, and you gotta weigh that option, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't made it down. I stick around Pierre. I mean, not in Pierre, but down probably 15 to 20 miles. I haven't made it down, 30, 40 miles. So I don't know what those fish look like. I just, I know that our fish here closer have been a lot skinnier than past years. Um, but like I said, we still have the numbers, which is great. And hopefully they stop taking those gizzard shad up there and keep them in here and get our fish a little bit fatter again. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's weird.
yeah, and I think that's because they need a smaller bait up there in Oahe. When we had the flood, we lost all the smelt, all that good stuff. That was back 2011, and it never it hasn't came back quite like it has, like it should. But yeah.
Hmm. Learn something new every day, Mason.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So Mason, you're talking about the bite, how it's been really good. We talked. I was texting you earlier about maybe having a few props today. Can you give us a couple baits that have been really rolling really good, right?
I,
Lately.
I can, I can, and I'm gonna start off with one that I don't have in my hand because that's live bait, and that's gonna be a jig and a minnow. That is gonna be a giant player here. Um, but if you're looking to get into like the plastics, right here, that's a drip minnow, Berkeley drip minnow on a Berkeley hybrid head jig. This is more of a bottom bait. You could use it as on a drop shot. I think this will play. I think this will definitely play here. Um, for those guys that want to swim them a little bit more, here's a drip swimmer. It's got a little more of a subtle paddle tail. It's a paddle tail, but it's not a big giant paddle tail. I think you'll see some of those guys throw this a little bit too, trying to get it maybe a bigger bite. Um, some things that this is like this next bait that I'm going to show you here. This is Nick and I's go to. This is
Are
this
we
is
gonna have to blur it, Mason?
no, no,
Yeah.
nope. It's just a small little flicker shad, number 5. This bait right here catches them here. Um, no matter what, it's all year long. This thing is money. So you're gonna see some cranking going down. I would expect to see some smaller 5s and 7s, maybe to get your nicer slots. Um, if you want to try to get a little bit bigger, a flicker minnow. This one's a 7. We caught a nice one on a flicker minnow the other night. A nice 18 fat. This right here, the hit stick. I think you might, if someone's gonna get a big one, I think it might come on a hit stick. I don't know what it is, but my buddy Chris at Berkeley has been pushing this. and I started using it. It is awesome. It puts them in the boat and it catches big fish. I'm very excited to use the other version of this, the deep hit stick, up on Oahe this coming fall. I think it's going to be killer. But the smaller hit stick that does not dive as deep, just the regular hit stick, I think that'll play here. I definitely do.
Is that color a color of choice, or is that just a bait you
This one,
grabbed?
nah, this is just one that I grabbed.
Okay,
On the flicker shad, I think they call this one.
that's Corey's
Really,
color.
yeah, Corey. Yep. This one we do use this one all the time. This one catches them. That's for sure.
I'll try to blur it for you, Mason, but there's no promises. I'm
You
just
don't
gonna
have.
say it
There's
right
no.
now. No.
There's
I'm
no
pretty
secrets
sure we're
here.
not
There's
blurring
no
anything.
secrets. But
Uh,
I know I've been pushing Berkeley here. I do have one tiny bait that I absolutely love to pull behind the boat, and I mean it's Selma Hornet.
Ooh, Viking, that's a good one.
Yep, and the Viking color is really good here too. But
That's
the
really good
blue,
everywhere.
you probably
that
can't
blue
see this.
chrome is
Blue chrome, that's got to be one of the best baits ever made. I mean, I think that thing's caught more fish than any. It might have caught the most walleyes that there's ever been on that one. That's
Yeah,
for
that
and
color, whatever
yeah,
bait, whether it's a finisher, Salmon Hornet,
anything.
flicker shad, anything, it's a great
Jigging
color.
wraps,
Yeah.
any glide baits. I mean,
yeah,
chrome and blue is just. I mean, if you don't have something chrome and blue on, and it's sunny out, you're messing up. You know.
I
absolutely,
mean, it looks like so many different bait fish, right? It looks like a smelt, kind of a bit of an alewife. It's got
Yep.
that small, infant herring look. Shad, same thing, kind of it doesn't have the same body style, but for a jigging wrap but yeah, as far as color wise, that might be the most widely used color across the Midwest for sure.
Yeah.
absolutely, especially here too. I mean, like you said, on a jigging wrap, anything. I mean, most of the time when you see those boys doing that, that's what they have on.
Yeah. Um, Brandon, question for you guys. Who do you got? Okay, I know we were gonna do this a little bit later, but who do we got for this
Okay,
tournament?
are
I
we gonna
gotta
give our
know.
top three? Is that what we're gonna do?
I think so. I can only think of one, quite honestly. Like, I mean, I could throw some names out there that I think are gonna do well, obviously, but like
Well, I'll let you start with your one. I'm pretty sure most of us
all of us
have him
have it.
picked highly. Um,
Yeah.
he is a former National Walleye Tour champion. He's a former National Walleye Tour Angler of the Year. I'm guessing because he's from Pierre, Dewey Chelm,
Yep.
and Dewey's a dangerous angler. He is really good at winning, and he gets to sleep in his own bed. That is enough to make a guy dangerous.
Absolutely. Well, and you know, if you throw Dewey up there, you gotta throw Hoyer in there too, because they're working so closely together. And Hoyer's no slouch. He can put up numbers. I don't
Absolutely,
know. It's a tough one, man. First tournament of the season, there could be a guy just that comes out sprinting, like Hunter did last year, and I don't know.
Mason,
absolutely.
what are you thinking? You got three guys in mind?
So Dewey's obviously one. Dewey's gonna be tough. Another guy that is gonna be super tough is Tyson Keller. I don't know if you guys have heard the name.
Uh-huh.
Tyson Keller is Dewey's partner in the Gov Cup. Tyson is an absolute animal here. Sharp, Oahe, it don't matter. He catches them and he finds the better fish. Tyson will be very tough here. That's for sure. If I'm gonna throw out another name from, let's say, guys that fish the whole thing, I'm gonna look at towards like a Tommy Kimos or even Keith Cavallas. Keith has history here, and Keith has spent a lot of time downriver before, so I can see Keith being really tough here.
Is Keith running it this year?
I don't know that.
I
I'm
know he's
throwing the
been on
name out
Lake
there if he's
Erie.
in it.
He's been on Lake Erie lately. He's been posting some videos and stuff. I'm not sure if he's doing the whole tour or just some of the events.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna go off the beaten path. Other than Dewey, we all expect Dewey to do Dewey things and hold up big checks. Um, I'm going to say, you know, we talked to them a few weeks ago. He's been there before. I'm going to say Jason Shakirat. He has some history there. He's been there multiple times with FLW and RCL back in the day, PWT as well. He's got great experience, great angler.
He just flat out knows how to catch them, man.
He does. Everywhere he goes, he's super consistent. I think Will Pappenfuss might be a guy that you see really, you know, up towards the top. I think he's a silent assassin, man. He's not real loud, dude. He doesn't, you know, you kind of say hi. He's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, by the way, I'm going to kick your teeth in today.
Yeah, I'm going to steal your lunch money for sure.
I'm going to take your lunch money. And then the last guy I'm going to talk about, we just released a podcast with him. I'm telling you right now, I think he's going to be the angler of the year. He works as hard as anybody. He's as hot as anybody. He just won an AIM. He won last year's AIM championship. He won a tour event last year on Green Bay. Eric McCoy. I think it comes down to he is as good as anybody with live scope. He is as good as anybody with his pre-fish, and he's got a great team with his dad with a lot of
I think he's with
Drake Hurd, of course. Drake Hurd. I'm not sure if Stacy Forsberg's running with them this year or not. That was their team last year and the year before, but man, incredibly consistent. I don't see that slowing down.
I don't either. I you know, and to be honest with you, you know, I know we threw out the live scope in there, but you know, Eric grew up in the fishing world. You know, his dad's been around forever too. Eric can fish traditionally too, and I think
sure
absolutely, you know, and I think that'll throw him up there. I want to throw out one more name because we haven't talked about him, and you know, he's had a little bit of a down couple years, but he made up for it at SAC. Corey Springle.
Yes.
Springle
100%
is going to be very tough here. You know, that whole next bite crew, this plays into their wheelhouse. They're all going to be tough, but I think Corey's ready to get some vengeance on everyone and come back. You know, what is he, a 5-time MWT champion? Or not champion, not a winner. He's won a championship. I think Corey's ready to kick some teeth in.
You can't count Corey out on any body of water at any tournament. Doesn't matter. Corey can always make that jump. He's phenomenal angler.
And I mean, we're just gonna keep naming guys.
I know.
We're just gonna name as many guys as we can, but
to go back to Eric for a second, I mean, he is just on a roll already this year with the AIM series.
He's fished 2 events, and so Eric, you know, anybody who hasn't watched yet, Eric put up the largest weight with my good buddy Steve Lobb. Steve is a great guy, great angler. Those guys teamed up for head-to-head this year. It's going to be a problem for the guys in head-to-head.
Yes, it is.
Dude, those guys are absolute hammers. Can't say enough good things about Steve or Eric, and they put up 107 pounds the other day. And there are plenty of great anglers in head-to-head. Ted and Cody and my good buddy Mitch and Kurt and Joe Okada and the Katowskis are dangerous as ever. And
that was a crazy
there
comeback.
are so many great fishermen in that circuit, but I'm telling you right now, nobody's hotter than Eric McCoy. No. Not at all.
I didn't even know that head-to-head was going on, and I saw Joe's Facebook post of, you know, he said something about the view I get seeing Eric's weight just keep going up. So I was like, I have to check this out. And I go look, you know, and Joe's a great fisherman. And Joe throws what did he throw up, like 35 pound, 40 pounds or something like that?
Yep.
And then you see Eric up there with like
107.
Whoa, he threw it down, and you know, it's like you said, he's as hot as anyone in the country right now, and I think he's an absolute animal.
Well, and it's even crazier too because he threw up 107 and I think, what was it, 4 hours, Brandon?
Yeah.
Is that right? 4 hours, 107 pounds.
It's comical.
It's crazy.
It's crazy how hot he is right now, and it's sweet to watch.
If you guys haven't watched it yet, we did just release a podcast with Eric. Today's Thursday, so we released it yesterday. And you know, he gives up some great insight on his practice, on his life, fishing the tour, what it's like. Definitely go back and watch.
Plus, he's just a great guy,
and he is. Eric's a great dude. But all right, let's see. enough. I think we got what we needed for anglers because we landed off like 20 of them.
So we got everybody on tour pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, can we name one guy who's not Dewey that's going to win? Who's going to win?
Me?
Are you fishing it?
Yeah.
No. I was asking if you're asking me. No, I'm not fishing it. No.
Yeah,
No. I'm focusing
'cause
on guiding, and
that's
I wouldn't
probably a
even
good
throw
decision.
myself in there if I was in it, because I don't have the time on the water. I'm not as good as these guys, that's for sure. I would never throw myself in there. I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be Tyson. It's
Yeah.
gonna be Tyson Keller. He's as good as anyone in the world. He just doesn't have that desire to go chase them all over the country, but he's on top of the leaderboard every single time, whether it's Sharpe or Oahe. Tyson's really hungry, and I think Tyson makes a wave and gets a National Walleye Tour win.
Well, yeah, we see that, all over, the local anglers come in and just snipe out wins where, they're on great bites and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna throw my name in the hat and let's go do it,
Yep.
And we know anglers like that all over the country. Our good buddy
Yeah.
Dan Dwyer. I mean, that guy can go anywhere and catch fish. I feel like he'd be a problem on tour, but that's just not what he wants to do. And
No,
Dan, if you're listening to this, maybe you should.
I don't know. I'm telling you right now, if he hops in any Mississippi River event, you get to watch yourselves.
Yeah, you're in trouble for sure.
All right, I'm saying Tommy Kimos. I think if anybody's going to do it, we just had Tommy on. We just recorded with him. He's won on the Missouri River system before. He's an absolute stud with a jig and stick and live scope in his hands. Tommy Kimos.
I think I might go Will. I think I'm gonna go Will. I think he's due for one.
He's absolutely.
He's been up there a few times in the top 10, and I think he's due for a win. And I think I saw the other day he's already out there. So
he was on Chamberlain.
Yep, he was up in Chamberlain. Yeah,
or
down in Chamberlain, I should say.
Just getting his reps in.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I think he's just a beast. He's just, man, you put him anywhere and he can put up numbers. In any circuit. I got Will taking it.
Awesome.
I like
Are
that.
we starting a fantasy fishing league here? Is that what we're doing?
I can write it down.
We should.
Back in the day when it was FLW, they did do fantasy for a year or two. If you go back and search, I remember I was searching Lake Sharpe the other day, and they did pundits picks, and they were talking about fantasy fishing at the end of it. And honestly, I don't remember. I remember them doing it for bass. I remember FLW being the first for bass, but they did do it for walleye too.
I would be in on something like that for sure.
Outdoor First used to have a ranking system for all the anglers on tours and everything. It was
Outdoors First was awesome.
That was
Steve Worrell and TJ DeVoe. TJ covers the bass world now.
Timmy. Tim's a good dude.
He was one of the originals covering everything. I remember TJ at every single tournament that I would go to with my dad. But yeah, they had an awesome ranking system. It was really cool. I'm a little biased. I thought it was a lot cooler. 06 to 09, my dad was number 2 for the entire time. So I always thought that was so cool to go to Walleye First and see. There he is, right there.
Were you as much of a fangirl as I was when your dad was fishing? I sat at a computer and refreshed thousands of times.
I was just thinking of that the other day. That's how you watched. That's how you
watched weigh-ins back then. You sat there, you clicked refresh, and I sat and stared at a list of people for 3 hours.
You get home, get a dial up internet, and just keep hitting refresh. And I was always like, "Where's my dad? Where's my dad?"
That's all I cared about.
A fish freak, to be honest with you, growing up. The fishing bug really kind of hit me after college, to be honest with you.
Same here, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, I dressed up as a professional fisherman in first grade for career.
Nerd.
See,
this is what I wanted. Yeah.
No, it's kind of for me. We always grew up going on. We'd go up to Lake of the Woods once a year. We'd go to Lake Vermilion once a year. But it was never, I didn't have anybody in the family that was a pro angler. I didn't have anything like that. I love to, our local lakes aren't anything special. And so I just, grew up fishing panfish around here and going on one trip a year. And then, after school, it's like you finally have a little bit of your own money, and it's like, I'm going to go to some of these premier bodies of water. And then it just snowballs into a lifestyle, and you're like, well, here I am, you know?
Yep. Yeah. No, see, and it was completely different for me because, I was going to all these tournaments, but when we're out there pre-fishing, instead of me learning from my dad, which I should have been doing, I learned an awful lot. But, when the bite was tough, you'd see me sitting there reading Huskers Illustrated magazine, seeing how Nebraska is going to be the upcoming year. So, I didn't get that fishing bug till later on. So,
Yeah.
we're kind of in the same boat, but I did get to go to those places. I just didn't do what I should have, what
Yeah.
29-year-old me's thinking right now. I wish I would have enjoyed those hard bites and learned more than I did, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. I'll learn it now.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
weren't nerds like Brandon over there.
Right?
I'm good with it, man. Hey, it led us all to the same path, right? Look
It
at us
did.
now.
It did. Oh, that's funny.
Awesome. Well, boys, we got 30 minutes in. I appreciate all you guys for hanging out and talking. Everybody who's watching, if you've made it to this point, thank you very much. A little bit of fishing report, a little bit of fantasy fishing. Even right off the weather. I'm not exactly a meteorologist. Thank you to Striker Brands, Lake Effect Lures, and Walleye Nation Creations for sponsoring our deal here. And you know what? Get out there, go fishing. Mason, thanks for the fishing report. We appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you
Thank you,
guys for
Mason.
having me on.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.